Deviant. Welcome to the SAINTCON hallway. How's it going?
It's going okay, man. This is amazing. This is really cool to finally be here.
Yeah, first SAINTCON. What has surprised you the most?
What I've been telling people is that this is one of those magical cons that really punches above its weight class. So the other, if you've never been to SAINTCON and you're looking for a touchstone, the way people used to kind of talk about ShmooCon when it was a little smaller, the way people talk today about Wild West Hackenfest, these are events where you look around and people are bringing in builds and gear and stuff to do of a caliber that you would see at a massive expo, like a Black Hat or RSA or DEF CON, like huge events. The money has been spent, but not in the service of like, hire me, hire us, get a, capitalism, hire our companies, invest. It's just people bringing in stuff that like, hey, you want to try this cool thing? Yeah, we worked on it for 6 months and I didn't make a car payment, but I wanted you to try it.
Right. Yeah, there's definitely a lot of that, a lot of heart and love and soul into it. What got you into InfoSec? What was that flip from Deviant's living his life and now you're into InfoSec?
The story as I tell it, well, first of all, I would always tell people, I don't know if I'm even in InfoSec. I'm just sitting around at the restaurant usually with people who are smarter than me doing this. Donnie Doorbuster. But what switched me from regular, just sort of net admin, sysadmin type work into my career was an incident at a law firm. There was a law office in my town where I was living back east, and they had their like network engineer, single shop guy, like he ran the net with everything. He just quit one day. He just rage quit in the middle of the day. Blam, slam the door. He's out, and people are like, is he coming back? So eventually someone kind of looks at each other and go, well, this is not good, right? If he's storming off, doesn't he have like access to everything? Do we have access to anything? So they start calling IT people and so forth. And somebody says, hey, well, this guy's in town. He worked at our car dealership. He set up get him. He'll probably come over there. Because I was living that consultant life. I was flexible, which meant I wasn't doing anything. I was at home. And I said, I can move some things around in my schedule. Sounds like a real emergency. I moved my pants around and put them on and went across town to this law office. And I was like, oh, yeah. If you have a sysadmin who quit, like, yeah, you got to change those credentials. It's smart to do. What are we talking about here? And they said, well, sit tight. We got a locksmith on the way if you want some coffee or something. But, as soon as we get into that office, you're good. And okay, I just sat there for a bit. And I sat a little longer. I don't know what I did. This is pre-Twitter. So, like, what did we used to do? I just read, like...
Snake on the TI-86 or something?
Yeah. And eventually I'm like, look, I'm on the clock. Do you want me to just take a look at the door? I mean, what are we talking about here? So they lead me down the hall, and I'm looking at their doors. I'm like, all right, this is interesting. And I was like, this is the same. It's the same as all these office doors. It's just an office. Can I borrow this? Some like TPS report type thing. And I ripped the cover off of that. And I just, shoved it into I popped the door open. I loitered the door. And I was like, oh, okay, well, cancel the locksmith. And I start, Nordal, NT boot, restarting things. Okay, what do you want your root password to be? Okay, mail server's up. You don't have RAS running. You have no telnet running. Yeah, there's nothing remote. You're pretty good. Here's your new root password. You'll be all set, man. I'll send you a bill. And they were like, yeah, new master password. What'd you do to that door? And I was like, oh, yeah, well, I mean, your doors, they all have badge code, readers, but they're not installed right. The strikes aren't dead latching. You might want to adjust that. Like, yeah, Steve, come show him what you did to that door. And that turned into, like, I became known as the door guy and the lock guy. And I'd always done lock picking.
Yeah, I was going to say, did you do that? You wasn't spur of the moment doing that. You had some knowledge of how to pop that door before, right?
Like any good hacker, I've been picking locks for a while, just as a hobby, though. But that's when hobby turned into, like, I can get paid for this, too. And word of mouth, Dark Tangent, a lot of credit goes to him. This is early days of Black Hat. And he's like, hey, you could run a Black Hat training about lock picking. We should have that. And I was like, no one's going to pay money for that. We do this in the Lockpick Village, man. This is pre-Lockpick Village, actually, I think. And he's like, no, trust me, try it. And yeah, we got traction with that. My buddy Bobek started working with me. We have a company. We have a training institution now. It's wild to see how it's all grown out of little opportunities you just kind of trip over one day without your pants on.
Yeah, and looking at your bio, you've trained everybody, it looks like. What's a story, and of course it's going to be metadata probably, but what's a story from a training that was just unique or different or wild that you might be willing to share?
The best training, well, I mean, this sounds self-aggrandizing, but it is a funny truth fact where we've been on jobs before, like penetration jobs. We get hired, and someone will say, yeah, it's really funny hiring you guys because we have to get quotes, And everyone else we talked to either said, they would just go with you, or they said you trained them anyway. Like, so we talked to this firm and their red team, and they're like, well, we all got training by the core group, so go talk to them. And now core group merged into Red Team Alliance with for all of our training stuff with our buddy Drew. And yeah, it's been a hoot. Honestly, the coolest story I got is a pandemic story. It has to do with our access control class. And it used to be, you're using Proxmarks and credentials, and we're cracking the encryption on the high frequency stuff, and here's cloning your low frequency stuff. And we would do this at Black Hat and other places in our school, where at the front of the room there was a big badge system, kind of like what people bring in some of these demos here and some of these challenges. Like, here's our badge reader. If you think you did it, come up and boop your card. And that works in an environment like a classroom. But during the pandemic, everything went virtual.
Right.
Black Hat was virtual, and we were virtual. We're like, how are we going to deliver virtual content? So we made, I shouldn't say we, honestly, it was really Bobik mostly and his intern at the time, we call it building in a box. And it is a card reader mounted to a little enclosure, but inside that is a full access control system. So every student, remote students, were getting like right on their desk, they had, card reader, bang, bang, and it goes green or not. It's a real I did it moment. And now even in our in-class, we don't have people walking around the classroom. Everyone just gets a building in a box at their desk. And at the end of class, it's neat because it has a OLED display showing the weekend data and so forth. At the end of class, Bobik's like, okay, take this control card, boop. Now now it's in emulation mode, it's in debug mode. It's a debugger device that you can actually just get card data on your desk at home. And this wouldn't have existed if it weren't for innovation and the strain and stress of, I guess we can't do classes the way we used to.
Right.
So little lemons into lemonade kind of story.
How small is this box?
It's yay big.
That's tiny.
Yeah.
I was expecting like a board with like power supply and...
Yeah, no, it's super, super miniature. It's great.
That's awesome. Any story or anything you're willing to share about behind the scenes of either a YouTube video or a talk you've done that was something unique or noteworthy to let our viewers hear?
There was a talk I did about airplanes, and my favorite thing about that is sometimes during talks, you'll have a cocktail or whatever on stage, and at the time, I was dating Lady Merlin. We wanted to all right, let's have some drinks, and if an audience member has a good question, you get a drink. But since it was an airplane-themed talk, we actually mocked her up in, an apron and a sofa, put her hair in a bun, and we had a drinks cart just come down the middle of the con, aisle.
Like an actual drink cart or like a TV desk?
I mean, we mocked it up pretty good.
Okay.
It wasn't.
Were you banging elbows and knees on the way down?
I could have tried to tell her to do that, but how real you want the experience? I think that we could have sold that. Maybe just knock into someone's chair, call it turbulence.
So yeah, full airplane experience. I love it. That's great. When Deviant is done, retired, no longer beeping, of course, you probably will never give it fully up because it's a little bit in our blood.
Watch me. I will be out the door.
What do you do?
Travel.
Travel.
Yeah, I would travel to as many places as I could. I'm a huge advocate of travel. I think it's one of the few things. Travel and education are the two things you can spend money on and come away wealthier. And yeah, every place I've ever gone, I've never gone to a place I didn't like. I've never tried a foreign cuisine that I didn't enjoy. I would just travel. I would travel around to see new places and to see as many friends as I can and tell them I love them every day before I lose a chance to.
So that leads me to a good question, and that is, you've been to a lot of places.
Mm-hmm.
Where's your favorite place that you've traveled to?
Oh, that's like favorite breath of air.
You can only pick one child. The rest are dead to you.
Oh, man. So, let's say one place if I had to, go back only there, or you get a free pass to always go
Or you're
there.
telling somebody, this is where you need to go.
Ooh, boy. It's a tie between Norway and Vietnam.
Okay.
Honestly.
Those are completely different. Yeah.
I know.
I was expecting Norway, Sweden, or something, but yeah,
Yeah.
Vietnam. Why? What's the tentpole of the experience of, say, Norway?
It's as gorgeous as Provo, honestly. Being out here, which is where we are now, I've lived in Montana. The mountains are even more real here somehow. They're just right there, and Norway's like that. It's picturesque beyond belief. The people are friendly and have this very community-driven view of the world, and their society is very supportive of others. The cuisine is, I love reindeer, honestly. I ate a lot of reindeer when I was up there. Yeah.
Santa's sad.
Yeah.
Awesome. And then Vietnam?
It's fascinating. It's a fascinating place to be so starkly contrasted with the environments where I've grown up. I grew up in kind of ruralish areas and farm country, and to see just packed streets of little motor scooters everywhere, and they're intimidating. Your first time, I don't know how we crossed the road, but the old adage, like a blind grandparent could cross the road in Vietnam safely. You just go, you just walk, and everyone they'll just swirl around you like a flock of birds, avoiding a pole. It's unbelievable. And I also just love pho, and I love Vietnamese food. My girlfriend and I at the time probably spent a week in Vietnam, including a couple posh dinners and staying in we spent like $600 for the whole week between the two of us.
Wow.
So yeah, super bang on value.
What's on the hit list of the places in the world that you haven't been?
Ooh, yeah.
Where do you want to go?
I'm super into cold places, man. I've never been to Iceland. Johnny Christmas is always telling me I got to go to Iceland. I want to go.
Isn't Iceland green and Greenland's Iceland?
I know. I bet you could find a little bit of green in Iceland and a lot of it not, and I want to see all of that. I really want to get up there. I'd love to make it to Antarctica.
Wow.
Yeah, there was one time there was Penguin Con. Pinguino had chartered spots on a boat, and you could get pretty close. I mean, I don't know if they put foot on Antarctica or not, but you could just go around the Southern Ocean and see penguins and other things.
How many people went to Penguin Con?
It was small, man. I didn't go. I wish I could have, but I would like to get down there somehow.
I think that's one of the continents I haven't touched.
And in general, low Earth orbit. Like that would be the ultimate goal for me.
Yeah.
If I could take a space shot of some kind.
Last
Zero
frontier.
G, something like that. Yeah.
I mean, Alaska has a license plate, but space is.
I'd go to Alaska in a heartbeat too. I've never been up there.
I love Alaska. You should go to Alaska.
I really want to go.
It's great. I mean, there's a lot of foreign countries, and Alaska is not quite the United States. It's somehow prettier.
Yeah.
Yeah. But real quick, I just want to come back to Norway for a second, just because was that summer or winter?
I was there every time I've been there. It's been pretty much winter. It's been February.
Okay. Most people like to go summer.
I know. No, I'm going to get the full experience, man. I loved it.
Awesome. Well, you're in the right place. Utah, we're bipolar right now in October. Yeah. It's either perfect temperature or dumping snow on us, and you kind of got you're in the in-between right now. We just got snow, nice and cold.
It's beautiful.
But yeah, it's a pleasure having you here. Thank you for coming and keynoting and speaking with us in the SAINTCON hallway.
I can't wait to see how the talk turned out. People keep coming up and saying very nice things, so I look forward to the recording.
Awesome. Thanks, Deviant.
Yeah, man.